Alright guys, it's June 14th. I was up till 1 a.m. putting the head on. I've got all my rockers in there and lifters. I got them all set up, and I'm going to double check it after I put the cams in. I put blue Loctite on the end of threads and the ARP studs that went into the block, so I know for sure they won't back out. When I torque the head down to 85 foot-pounds in 3 increments. I went 30 foot-pounds, 60 foot-pounds, and then 85. And with ARP studs, you do not need to do a 90-degree turn. These are not torque to yield. Do not do that. Yeah, you can, but I don't suggest it. You can contact ARP if you're unsure, or ask your local machinist. So I put the timing belt on last night too to see where I was with valve to piston clearance. Turns out I have 100 thousandths clearance, so I know the valves won't contact. So today we're going to put the cams in, lubricate them up, and get it ready to get the rest of the engine put together. It's getting very close, and I'm getting very excited to do this. So alright, so you want to make sure that any of the lubricant used to torque the head down, you don't want any journals. So what you're going to do is you're just going to clean them up, and then you're going to apply lubricant like I did when I installed the cams last night. So all I'm doing is just putting the royal purple in here. Crowder suggests you don't use anything synthetic or any motor oil with detergent in it. That's what they suggest. So just a little bit of that in there. I'm going to wipe my hand off here. As you can see, my tool bench is a mess. That's because I've been going from one thing to the next last night, and then before I knew it, it was 1 a.m. wondering where the time went. That was kind of funny. So thank you. Let's do with it. Over here, it's got to be over here. Later on today, I'm going to build custom mounts to do tow hooks on the car. This is going to be for High Plains Raceway, and I just have to cover it last night. There's that. Oh, they're over here. And for these lifters, I had to make a custom tool. Basically, I just cut up a wrench and bend it and weld it back together. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that these lock nuts aren't tight, so I can make adjustments as needed. So all I'm going to do is just take them out, make sure the lock nuts undone a little bit. And I am going to put coating on these when put them back in. Not Loctite. I don't know why I was going for the Loctite. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of this coating in here. Run it up and down. I'm going to put a little bit on the top here. This is just so it doesn't burn up. The other thing is just so I don't gall out any parts and then have to go back in and readjust. I know I'll have to go back and readjust for the solid lifters, but that's part of the whole deal. Where did I put those pliers? Just do that to me. Of course, before I go to start this, I'm going to go back over it again with a little oil just to be sure, so I know it's coated and I'm not going to round out a camshaft lobe. When you round out one, it's a pain. Don't ever round out a camshaft lobe. It ruins your day. The first 5 seconds to about 30 seconds is the most critical of engine life. The next 30 minutes is crucial. You can round out a camshaft lobe in 5 seconds. It's that crucial. So follow manufacturer's procedures is what I recommend. Come on. Don't do this to me. Okay, that one's loose. Gotta make this quick, I got a hair appointment in a little while. is it? Got about an hour before I have to go. Loose. Okay, so now we're gonna go and coat your camshaft lifter lobes, or basically it's just lobes. The journals you would just use normal non-detergent oil, or what I'm using, the Royal Purple. So when you get your cams, they come in a box, wrapped, and comes with this assembly lube. You want to put this on. You're going to want to put a little bit of this. It doesn't take much. So I'm going to do this on the tail because I don't feel like dropping any camshaft today. Bless me. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to set a paper towel or two. This is Scott's Blue lint-free stuff. Wonderful, amazing stuff. I like it. I'm sure everyone else is going to like these. I've used these multiple times. They're really nice. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a little brake clean all the journals, because who knows what's been there. I want this to be, like I said before, and I'll say it again, I want this to be as clean as possible. So I'm just going to clean each lobe. Sometimes these come pre-coated with a protective oil so that they don't rust. You'll want to take that off before you apply the assembly lube. So the cam shaft I'm cleaning up right now is my exhaust cam. And then I'm going to move over and clean up the intake cam. I'm just cleaning up all the shiny metal surfaces. And I'm just going to let those dry, air dry. Brake clean or parts cleaner, or whichever one you want to use, is the bit's the same. It evaporates, so it'll dry itself. Okay, so now I'm just going to take the cam like this, and then I'm just going to take a little bit of this. I'm just going to put a little bit at a time. If I need more, I'll put more on. I don't give you very much of this, so this has to coat both cams. Whatever is left, I'm going to put on to the roller cam followers. And then they just want you to take clean hands and just cover it, kind of like I am. This one needs a little more. This will also come off on the cam followers, so you don't really have to worry much about it. This is definite must if you're doing these. You really want to do this and only coat the lobes, because this will help prevent the lobes from flattening during the first 5 seconds, like I said. First 30 seconds, you're okay, maybe, but you don't want to let it idle. You want to fast idle like at least 1500, 2000 RPMs for about 30 minutes. That's just to get everything broken in. And then the other breaking part is to drive it in stop and go traffic. That's not highway miles, that's actual stoplights. Okay, there's that one. And be generous with this. Don't put a little on caulk. You want to make sure it's coated nice. If you feel like it's not enough on there, put more on. Always trust your instinct on some of this stuff. If you're not sure, ask a mechanic or a machinist. They can always help you. Don't fall down there. I'd say you could. So I have a little more left in here. I have a lot, I guess I could say. So I'm just going to go back and apply a very generous glob since I know how much I have left. I'm especially going to put it where the lobe has its lift, or the highest point. That's the most critical section. Just like so. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my crank so it's halfway between the top dead center and the bottom. I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees. Jesus. Oh, that's right. It's sucking on. This way I don't have to worry about my valves contacting when I turn the camshaft over to do my valves. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to set the cams in here. So this is exhaust side, so front. 428 has two different ways of doing exhaust, front and rear. Rear is firewall side, front is radiator side. That's a very crucial thing to keep in mind when you're ordering cams from Crower, because it'll say front exhaust or rear exhaust. And that is very crucial to know. Okay, come on, get off. As you can see, I'm just holding it in the ends, so when I go to put it in here, my hands aren't in the way. Okay. I'm just going to put a little bit of this royal purple assembly lube on here. This is just so it doesn't run dry. I don't want this thing running dry at all. Running it dry is going to cause bearing failure. And it's an aluminum cylinder head that has no bearings in it, because the head is actually the bearing race as well. You'd have to replace the whole head, or keep close enough by boring it or reline honing it. I don't want to do that. Okay. So I'm just going to put my caps in. Your caps are labeled one left, one right. That would be the front two here because it's one piece. Then you have 2, 3, 4, and 5. So they're all labeled nicely, so you don't have to worry about it. I'll switch these over. So one's going to be the left, one's going to be right. If you use the front one here, like this, said here, it tells you which one's left side and which one's right. That you can never get wrong. So that way you can put left this way, right this way. Alright guys, I'm going to show you how to set up your valve latch with solid lifters. Basically, you see I have my dial indicator set to 0, preloaded. I have my feeler gauge between the rocker arm and the camshaft lobe. All I'm doing is turning the adjuster up or lengthening it until the needle moves slightly. When it moves, I stop, back it off just a hair until it's 0 again, and then I lock it down. That's how you do valve latch adjust.